If you think South American football is balanced, think again. Brazil has won 8 of the last 10 Copa Libertadores titles, 7 of them in a row. And now, the Brazilian league is about to change even more.
The Brazilian Football Confederation, the CBF, recently visited England, Spain, and Germany, not for friendly matches, not for marketing deals, but to study how Europe organizes its leagues.
And what they brought back could transform Brazilian soccer forever. So the big question is Brazil becoming the Europe of South America? Let's break it down. For years, Brazilian clubs have dominated the continent. Flamengo, Palmeiras, Fluminense, Botafogo. They have been lifting trophies consistently. But this dominance is not just about talent. It's about money. Brazil's currency is stronger than most of its South American neighbors.
Brazilian clubs generate more revenue, attract better sponsorship deals, and can afford to keep players longer or even bring stars back from Europe.
Recently, Flamengo signed Lucas Paquetá in a deal worth over 40 million euros. That single transfer was almost 80% of what River Plate spent in an entire year. That tells you everything about the economic gap.
But now, Brazil wants more than just financial superiority. The CBF is implementing structural reforms inspired by European leagues.
One of the biggest changes is the introduction of a Brazilian version of financial fair play. The goal is to improve financial responsibility, reduce long-term debt problems, and create more sustainable competition. Another major innovation is the professionalization of referees. For the first time in Brazilian history, referees will receive fixed salaries and performance bonuses, just like in top European leagues. The Federation is investing hundreds of millions of reais into this project. Technology is also part of the transformation. Semi-automated offside decisions, already used in European competitions, are expected to become part of the Brazilian Championship soon. And perhaps the most controversial change. Starting in 2026, Brazil's Serie B will introduce a playoff system for promotion. Instead of 4 teams being promoted directly, the 3rd to 6th place teams will compete in playoffs for a promotion spot. This model mirrors systems used in England, Spain, and Germany. Meanwhile, the rest of South America looks very different. Countries like Argentina, Colombia, Paraguay, and Peru still use the Apertura and Clausura format, 2 separate tournaments in the same season. Some even added extra trophies, creating complex calendars that many fans struggle to follow.
Argentina recently expanded its competition structure even further, awarding multiple titles in a single year. Critics argue this weakens the prestige of the championship.
While those leagues maintain traditional or experimental formats, Brazil is moving toward long-term structural stability. There are also discussions about reducing the number of relegated teams from 4 to 3, which would align Brazil more closely with European standards and potentially provide more stability for promoted clubs. Other debates include limiting the number of foreign players and standardizing artificial pitches. So the direction is clear. Brazil is looking across the Atlantic, not across the continent. But here's the deeper question. Is this modernization strengthening South American football as a whole, or isolating Brazil from its neighbors? On one hand, stronger governance, financial control, and technology can elevate the league's global reputation. It could attract more international viewers, sponsors, and investors. On the other hand, the economic gap is already massive. If Brazil becomes even more structured and financially stable, the competitive balance in South America could become even more uneven. We are already seeing the impact in the Copa Libertadores. Brazilian clubs don't just compete, they dominate. And if the league becomes more European in organization and revenue management, that dominance might only increase. So maybe the real story isn't whether Brazil is copying Europe. Maybe it's whether Brazil is redefining what South American football looks like. Is this evolution necessary for global competitiveness? Or is Brazil slowly separating itself from the rest of the continent? One thing is certain. The Brazilian League is no longer just a national competition. It is becoming a strategic project. And the rest of South America is watching. What do you think? Is Brazil saving South American football or leaving it behind? Let me know in the comments.